Downswings. Now, I started researching about downswings quite a while back when I was doing the research for this video, and I've made a short compilation of how life mimics downswings, or rather than in the Matrix. So you can see this right here. I'll leave a link over here. So coming down to downswings. It is an inevitable part of poker. It is as obvious as black and white. There is no escaping it, no matter how good you are. So, to identify whether it was bad play or variance can be done. When you're reviewing your hands, completely calm, not during a session, after a session, when you're reviewing your hands, you can see with how much equity you got all in, right? Just in a situation. If you were a favorite in percentage and the run out was against you, that is variance. However, now that you see that you got in your money bad, that is a chance that it was bad play. What gets measured gets improved. This is about diligently recording and reviewing your hands. If you keep doing that earnestly and have a post-session review, you would know where you're going wrong and improve on that. It's absolutely essential to plugging in your C game leaks and coming back and bouncing back from your downswing. Could use any hand trackers out there. PT4 and DriveHut are the ones, and Hold'em Manager, which is being used. Although DriveHut has a distinct advantage that all the Indian sites most of the Indian sites are compatible with DriveHut. Know thyself. So what does that mean? Into two things in terms of your profile: technical and the mental side of things, right? Technical is something that you don't know which is harming you. This is more on the skill front, right? Mental side of things is something you know is wrong with you and you still can't control it to improve your game. You know that after a bad beat, you lose the next 10 hands, even worse because you're tilted, and you still can't control it. That is a mental issue. You need to distinctively work on what is a tactical or a technical issue you can work at, which can be done with the help of studying, coaching, etc., or reading up. On the mental side of things, it's a little bit tougher. We'll get into how to control your tilt. Another part of knowing thyself is knowing your tendencies. So what I do to record my sessions is I always time my sessions. I realized that after 2 hours of multi-tabling, I would have a peak and then I would go down steadily after 2 hours if I did not take a break. So once I saw this pattern, what I started doing was easy. I took a 10-minute break after 2 hours, and I kid you not, my results improved drastically. Now let's talk about the big T. Tilt, 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 tilt. Now let's just talk, what is tilt? Okay, tilt is anything that is emotional or otherwise which is keeping you away from playing your A game. So there is a wonderful book I would recommend. I recommend it in all my sessions where I talk about tilt. The Mental Game of Poker by Jared Tendler. There are 2 parts of it. Highly recommended. What he essentially says is tilt is like a disease and you have symptoms, right? So know what your symptoms are. If, for example, it's revenge tilt and you can see that you're gunning after one person, write down those symptoms. If you're getting tilted, agitated, or anxious, talk about your breath, talk about you slamming things, talk about you cursing. So those are symptoms, so you recognize, oh damn, checklist number 1, checklist number 2, I'm doing this, I'm getting tilted. After that, what Jared Tendler advises is having something called interjecting phrases. So what happens is when you're in the heat of it all, it's very difficult to outthink your way out of a situation. But what if you anticipated that this might tilt you? You might have a plan in place to plug in without thinking and get that in, right? So now you should have something called an interjecting phrase which should be ready for that time. So so for example, if you are running card dead, your thing could be, a phrase could be, your time will come. These are things that you should just have ready on the go. On my screen, I have these phrases on my stream while I'm playing, and whenever I'm in a situation, I plug in those interjecting phrases. Now, accumulated tilt could be either of the tilts we've spoken of, and it is the invisible killer. Imagine you have this one hand which really, sets the tilt, kicks it in, and it might not even be a big hand, it might even be a marginal hand, but the 10 hands you play after that, you just lose your money. Now, that is a form of accumulated tilt. You feel you're okay, it's fine, but at the back end of your mind, there is something that is happening which is not making you make optimal decisions. So this accumulated tilt could be of a few hands that you've played bad, or something that's happening in your life as well, family issues or whatever. It is up that this kind of accumulated tilt is still very difficult to recognize because it requires a lot of introspection. You should do what I suggest in the next point, that is, take a break, strategic break. And you can study during that time. In fact, I do advise that you study during that time. It gives you more time to review your session, do some reflection, introspection. And this is very important, guys, once you feel that there is no accumulated tilt, that means once you feel there is no hyper aggressive hunger for you to make your money back again and you're calm, that is a good sign to get off your break and come back to poker. You appreciate poker even more. In this time, it's very tough to even make a living in things, and we have the privilege to sit behind a desk, use our brains to earn money. Realize we are blessed, be grateful for it. And once you have this kind of understanding, sense of calm, balance, come back to poker. Are the solutions, right? That's what you guys are here for. Can you do to get out of a downswing, right? So first thing first, the number one point is bankroll management is key. So even in my most recent downswing, the downswing that I faced, I lost around 10 to 15% of my bankroll. So now that is still okay, and that is a much bigger number, absolutely, when I started off my bankroll. But because I did not move up in ultra high stakes, which I could have, when I did get this downswing of 25-30 buy-ins, I could pause, reflect, and then move forward. I decided to take a break. I spoke to my wife about it. I wrote a note, which I'll share with you guys, it's right over here, of why I want to take a break from poker. So now I did have some time on my hands. It was very difficult for me not to play while I had the time, but I wrote a note down. I spoke with my wife. I told her I would be studying and everything. So this kind of gave me some space, much needed space between poker and my, thinking and reflection process. This cycle just keeps on coming and going, and I have now started appreciating the process. Also, obviously I want to get out of it, but it's not new to me anymore. And suppose you're down 25 buy-ins, right? That 25 buy-ins, that is the point where you can consider, okay, I'm in a downswing or something is not going well. You can go down first of all, don't take it as per your ego. You must have played much higher limits, won in much higher limits, but it isn't about that, or it isn't about your ability. It is a lot about your confidence right now. You are in a negative frame of mind, you're in a downswing. You got to build up that confidence. It is a privilege playing at the highest stake, right? You got to earn your way back. I did that. In fact, I did that online because, believe it or not, online games are much tougher than live games. And I did realize that. And game selection also, guys, is something that you should look at, because if you're sitting 6 people sitting on a table and 5 of them are the best in the world and you're the 6th person, chances are that you are going to lose. Mark your players when you're at any site. Use your hand tracker, and when you know if the table is full of regs, just leave it, man. Just don't. Play with the incentive of making money. You can go play table tennis or something for leisure. Poker, apart from leisure, mostly is to make money. So be very clear about that in your head. Alright guys, that was my session so far about handling a downswing. Hope you enjoyed that. I did get a lot of questions when I put this question up on my Instagram feed. So let me know how you like this video. And if you have any particular questions about downswings or handling them, if you're in the middle of them, or you want a retrospect about when you were in them, I would be happy to hear from you in the comments below. Take a pause, take a breath, reflect, see whether it was bad play or variance, record your hands, analyze them. Talk to someone about it, take a break if need be, move down in stakes if need be, and there is more to life than poker. That break is very important, and when you're calm, at your own self, relax, come back to the virtual felts or the table and crush it again.